it's not gonna be as easy as before. Hey guys, welcome back. So today I wanted to sit and chat because a lot of you guys have been messaging me about wanting to come teach in Korea but worried about what's going on with the pandemic and how that affects your chances of coming here. I've been teaching in Korea for about 4 years now. I did 2 years with Epic, 2 years with Hogwans. So I'm very aware of the process of trying to come and teach in Korea. Things are a little bit different now because of the virus. Things are a little bit more tumultuous than in normal circumstances. I don't know everyone's individual circumstances or what every individual institution is going to say, but hopefully I've been able to help some people and hopefully I'll be able to help you with this video. Now, if you guys don't know, Epic is teaching through public schools. It's run by the government, and then Hogwans are for private institutions. They're run by businesses, by private business owners. So they're very different. What I will say about the current cases is that if you guys don't know what happened with Hogwan teachers before when the corona surge was originally quite high here in Korea, you can go watch my video. I've talked a lot about that. If you want to learn more about Epic versus Hogwans, we've also made some videos about that. You guys can go check those out. Now I want to just address what's going on with the pandemic. Recently in Korea, pretty much within the past week or so, especially in Seoul, there was a massive rally here, and with that, a huge surge of viruses has been happening. It's not as great a number as other countries are currently experiencing, but it is quite high for Korea, and we were doing really well at one point, but then we had kind of a second wave, and now we're on this huge third wave. We are now consistently seeing triple-digit numbers. But for you guys, what does that mean? With Epic, I know 2 intakes ago, there were some people who got accepted into the program but actually couldn't come because the schools no longer were looking for a position to fill, and that was during the original kind of wave of coronavirus. Right now with public schools, most students, I won't say all students, but most students are going to school once a week. They're physically going to school once a week, and the rest of the time they're taking online classes. There aren't as many schools even looking to hire a native English teacher because there's simply no need for one if the students aren't even really going to school. And I also know because of the pandemic, it's created a lot more opportunities for people to want to come to Korea. So there's been an increased, almost surplus of applicants compared to normal numbers. So you're kind of getting more applicants for less positions. So while you still have a chance, there's just going to be less of a chance than previous years. I always say still apply to Epic, but keep all your options on the table. There's also Talk, which is essentially applying to public schools, but in very rural regions here in Korea. So if you're okay with living out in the countryside, go for it. I think it's a great option because you're going to still be able to work at a public school, which has great benefits. You're just going to be out in the country. But with the state of things in Korea, you can't really travel anyway, so you might as well go somewhere where you can get some fresh air and you're much safer compared to living in a denser populated area. And I will say the plus of living out in the countryside is that you will be fully inundated with Korean. Your Korean should get quite good as long as you put yourself out there and in that environment. So totally an option, and there's definitely less applicants for something like that. So your chances of, if you're just looking to come to Korea, test it out for a little bit, I think it's a great option to have in your cards. Now the last option here is Hogwans. Hogwans are, they're a little bit tricky. It's a really hit or miss with Hogwans, and every Hogwan is so individually very different. Now, if you're looking for something more secure, then I would definitely look to apply to more chain-style Hogwans like YBM, Poly, etc. Although some small mom and pop shops are also really good. I work at a family-owned Hogwan right now. If you're looking for those things to look out for, I also made a video on that to look out for things in Hogwans where you really shouldn't apply to this. But with that being said, Hogwans as well, there's less positions available for those abroad. A lot of Hogwans right now are looking just for people within Korea already so that they can just move and transition over their visa over to the school, because right now when you come to Korea, no matter where you're coming from, you have to have 2 weeks of mandated quarantine. There's gonna be you're gonna be so much more reliant on them to set up everything, and they honestly just don't want to deal with it. I read online on a forum, some girl had prepped all her paperwork, she sent it over, and she was getting ready to like start the visa process with the school, and then last minute the school decided to pull the plug and tell her that they were no longer hiring any new teachers because of the current surge. So with the current surge, right now it's a really tricky time, because with any surge, there's always going to be a risk of schools needing to close for however long. So when there was like when Corona was first hitting, a lot of schools had to close for a week, a few weeks, even a month or more, and that created a lot of financial strain on the institutions, where a lot of schools actually just had to foreclose because they didn't have the means to even pay rent and pay the salaries of the teachers. It's kind of a tricky situation, because right now, because there's been another surge, Hogwans are not sure. There's going to be another period of time where they're going to have to close for a little bit. It's not that they're not hiring teachers, because there are places where teachers are leaving and they're going to need to replace them, but they're just still trying to look within the country. It's not impossible. Someone I know actually just came back to Korea, and she's working at a Hogwan. She did the 2 weeks of quarantine at the apartment that she's going to be living in, and now she's out and about and working per usual. So it's not impossible. It's just things are a little bit harder at this time, so you want to make sure you are keeping all your options on the table and really doing everything you can. I always say you should dual path. If you can apply through Epic/Talk and through Hogwan, I think that's your best bet, and then you can kind of look and see what you should do next. With the Hogwan, you still have to make sure to do your research. You have to make sure you're being very careful with where you're going, because you're kind of at the mercy of whoever you're working for as a foreigner here in Korea. So just make sure you guys are being careful. Hopefully that was helpful for you guys. Let me know in the comments down below if you have any questions. I'd be happy to answer them. And in the meantime, stay safe out there, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Bye.